If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today. Alright, so JustPearlyThings recently went on this channel. This title is Feminism is Bad for Society. Woke Movement Gets Destroyed by JustPearlyThings. Now we haven't really we haven't really caught up with JustPearlyThings in a while, so I'm sure it's gonna be bad.
Right, we're back. Pearl Davis, anti-feminist commentator, joins us now. I thought we'd keep on this theme for this hour. And anybody who wants to talk about it, we'll do that after, take some calls after, or maybe just before the news. Right, welcome, Pearl. I know you've been on lots of other programs, but I don't think we've met before, have we?
No, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, it's our pleasure. More than a third of young men think feminism has been bad for society. Mm-hmm. What is feminism?
Well, I guess...
Well, of course, if your idea of feminism is the ladies that hate men and think that all men should be castrated because they're men, then yeah, you're probably not going to be thinking that's a very good thing for society. If you had a better understanding as to what feminism is, if you understood that feminism is actually about recognizing subconscious bias against women and the way in which that subconscious bias still negatively affects women to this day. For example, women with kids are usually offered less starting salary than men with kids, or even single men. So that's a problem right there, but it's subconscious. Of course, if your understanding of feminism is bad, then you're going to think feminism itself is bad. Feminism is not the problem, it's your understanding of feminism that's the problem. Also, can we just get a huge major shout out to the writers asking JustPearlyThings of all people what feminism is? Are you asking for the most biased answer imaginable?
I think feminism really is a hate group that wants basically to take money from men and give us all the freedom without any of the responsibility. And I see this in divorce.
Feminism wants to take money from men? Huh? That's honestly, that's a new one. Props to Pearl. Can we get a round of applause here in chat for JustPearlyThings? Feminism exists to just take men's money. Okay.
And give us all the freedom without any of the responsibility. And I see this in divorce court. You know, that's something feminists really fought hard for. I see this with the useless jobs they give us for diversity and inclusion.
Don't you think that women are just better and natural caregivers? If you think that women are naturally better caregivers, then why would women not just be given the kids far more often if they're naturally better at being caregivers anyway? Don't you think this, Pearl? What? And then she calls feminism a hate group. Okay.
And I see this a lot. You
can get a job purely because you're a woman. Yeah. And a bloke's got no chance.
Well, I found out the other day that I can get, and I'm excited, I'm applying for these diversity and inclusion jobs. I've just started the application process. Oh, yeah. I get paid the same to do that as a fireman. So you could say equal work, you know.
But if you got one...
Okay, maybe we should be paying firemen more then. What?
In the NHS.
Fire person.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you can't say fire.
Fire them.
Huh?
Fire person.
Them.
Oh, fire person?
Yeah.
Fire them.
Because you don't know what gender they could be. Putting out a fire.
Yeah. That would...
Okay, so is this supposed to be, is this a conservative thing too? You mean fire person because you don't know their gender?
There's Matt, our engineer, who actually has made a good point.
Very good.
First time in at least a year. Or no, first time ever, probably. It is stupid, though, isn't it? Because men are capable of doing certain things, and women are capable of doing certain things. Some can interchange, but a lot of things men can't do as well as women. And I think we have to be honest about that. Well, I don't think you be on the front line of a war would be great. I wouldn't want to see. That's because I'm old-fashioned, really.
Well, bricklaying, 99. You don't.
Did he say men or women? Wait, is he saying women can't do some things that men can do? Like go on the front line? What do they think happens in war, by the way? Do they think that it's just like brute strength carries you to the victory battle royale or something? Do they understand that a lot of our wars are nowadays fought via technology, drones? There's a lot of ways in which women can fight just as well as men now. Maybe back in the olden traditional days when it was a war based upon raw brute strength, it might be a little different. But nowadays, really?
She disagrees.
Okay, right. Let's.
Maybe she's right,
Yeah.
actually. Now you think about it, I think you're right.
I had this thought a while ago, and I was trying to think of anything. And anytime I'd look up the data,
Plaiting hair.
I've done this 50 years now, and over that time, the majority of bosses I've worked for have been women. The guys
They were
I've
terrible,
worked,
weren't they? Terrible bosses.
no, they were very good. And actually, if you're watching, boss, sack him. It's getting on my bloody nerves. And the guys are all get a bit sort of,
This is so British.
you know, women are much easier to get on. Maybe it's because I'm just heterosexual, unlike you,
must be
that
it.
I find it easier to get on with women.
where do people get along better? Sorority houses or frat houses?
So what is a sorority house?
Well, that's because my point that men use violence and women use more getting your personality ruined in
I
society.
think women.
What? Could this have anything to do with the fact that you're comparing college-aged people to other college-aged people? What? Also, if you're trying to say that women are generally more catty than men, why? Why is that the case? If you're going to say that's the case, then why is that the case? Doesn't this have anything to do with how women are socialized? Told to be quiet, stay in line, kind of shut up, stay in the background. If you want your way, then if you're supposed to be in the background and staying quiet, of course you're going to be taking other types of steps to get your way.
Women are more violent than men.
Now that's an interesting point.
So-
Do you?
I like her just smug face. Like, she just says that she's like, what's something that is factually untrue? And I'm going to say the opposite of it and then smile smugly while I get, I don't know, Twitter bucks.
Now that's an interesting point.
So,
Do you?
yeah, we can't be more violent because we're not capable of it. But when you look at who kills infants and the elderly the most, it's women.
I mean, that.
So when we
Who's involved in more violent crime overall, though? What? Women are in disproportionate positions of caregiving, so you're going to see disproportionate rates of female killers in those career fields if they're killing people. So if you expect women to be caregivers and you have more women caring for the elderly, that small niche of women that are planning on killing or will go on to kill, they're going to kill the people in their care. This is all a downstream effect of the expectations women have on them. Women are expected to be caregivers, so the niche few women that go on to murder tend to kill the people that they're caring for. I'm going to say the C word, and no, I'm not going to call Just Pearly Things. I'm going to say common sense. This is common sense, Pearl.
I mean, that.
so when we get the chance to kill, we do it.
Yeah, it can be quite vicious.
Well, they can in an argument.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
I mean, you got your chance to kill my brain cells and you're doing it, so you do have a point.
I understand, and then men will get done quite rightly, by the way, for beating up a woman. But very seldom does a woman get into trouble for beating up a man.
Women are more abusive than men.
That's because men are socialized to be the strong, domineering, dominant one all the time. The alpha giga chad at 24/7 at all times. That's how men are socialized. So getting beat up by a girl is seen as a weak thing. So men aren't going to report when they're assaulted at nearly the same rates. This is a problem with the expectations again.
When they looked at most abusive couples are just beating each other, so they just like to hit each other. So whatever, that's equal.
Yeah.
But
There
when
are
you look at
lots of, well, yeah, men are more able to physically hurt somebody than a woman.
And men are taught that it's a good way for men to express their emotions by being aggressive, whereas for women it's not. There's a lot of socialization at play.
Case.
yeah, but when you look at one-sided abuse, women are more abusive.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are
70%,
abused men. There was a big story a couple of years ago. There's a lot of men who get abused.
Yeah, 70% of one-sided abuse cases are women.
Why do you think divorce should be banned? Because surely you don't want to keep people in a relationship.
How do you know it's one-sided as in the women are the perpetrators? Are you sure of this?
Why do you think divorce should be banned? Because surely you don't want to keep people in a relationship that they hate.
Oh, I changed my opinion on this,
Oh, good,
actually.
good.
Okay.
I think that men should be able to divorce women, but women can't divorce men.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because women divorce for stupid reasons, where men tend to divorce because their wife hasn't slept with them in 2-3 years.
Oh, they're so juvenile.
Or
men,
they'll
aren't
get
they?
really fat. Or
Yeah, and
they'll
women
be,
go, "Oh, we left the toilet seat down," and that's used in court these
yeah,
days. It really is.
yeah. It's
Hang
I
on.
interview.
This is just like, it's just like, I'm watching a circus, multiple clowns just making jokes, bouncing off of each other.
Don't you also think women shouldn't have the vote?
Oh yeah, I don't think we should vote.
God, you're a great.
Well, should the
person to have
husband
on.
decide what they vote?
Well, because it used to.
A compromise. Let's
So
compromise.
I'll tell you how I came.
Let's work out why you think
So
a
I
woman
can't-
shouldn't vote. If you're listening and you want
Did
to
we already move? Are we just completely off the issue of women not, so men can divorce but women can't? Because Just Pearly Things, the arbiter of what is and is not stupid, has determined that in fact women divorce for stupid reasons. I mean, she could be the poster child for stupidity. That's fair. But for her being the determining factor as to what is and is not stupidity, that I might have to disagree with.
Well, you know, if we just took women that pay taxes, they're net taxpayers, they're not taking any alimony, child support, or they're in an
Yet you shit on women for being the girl boss Karens, working hard and prioritizing their career because technically they should be pleasing their husband and having children and whatnot. So the women that go against what you think they should do get to vote? Yeah, and she's going to determine who is and is not stupid. Okay.
infrastructure job, most women wouldn't vote anyway. I say if we want to be equal, be 50% of the military. In the U.S., men are fined $250,000 if they do not sign up for selective service, which is kind of a modern version of the draft. So why is it?
Why do they keep bringing this up? Why are they so obsessed with... When was the last time selective service was used? When was the last... I had to sign into the selective services. You don't see me getting shipped off to Ukraine.
Is it fair that the men have to sign up for that and the women don't?
Well, I do. I mean,
Make
I'm
it
not
equal.
very. I'm
Be
not. You
equal.
know, that's America, and let's face it, your country is not doing terribly well at the moment. You've got two geriatrics. Oh no, one geriatric who's president and can't remember which way is up.
Yeah.
It's very sad, actually, to see that.
Well, it is
And
very
you've got
sad.
another
I don't understand
geriatric
why-
named Trump that thinks building a gigantic wall will somehow block all the rape allegations flooding towards him.
why
He's a
he's
very
allowed
sick
to
man,
be there.
obviously.
But
And oh my gosh, and if he steps down, we have a woman in charge. No.
no.
Well, Michelle Obama, they're talking about she might stand.
Hang on, just a minute. We had Margaret Thatcher, who in my mind was the best prime minister we've had probably since Churchill.
But she only had men in the cabinet.
Well, didn't she give up a bunch of?
Listen to this. These are literally, they're no different than the high school dweebs that are like, ew, girls have cuties. Boys versus girls, haha. Oh, well, they had lots of boys on their team, so that's why they won. Like, you're literally doing it. Well, she had a lot of guys in her cabinet. Okay, buddy.
Didn't she give up a bunch of power from like the royal family? Am I wrong? I don't know much
No.
about British.
You've been watching The Crown.
No,
I-
I mean, you don't watch The Crown.
I don't.
Very
I'm not a
badly put
British
together.
politics person. You know.
Yeah.
But,
Is it worse in America than Britain? Do you think we are better off as far as our feminist? I nearly called them a cult. You can't call feminism a cult, can you?
See, the U.S. is so big.
See how they all do this? Every conservative does this thing where they act like what they're saying is super novel and brave and bold, when in reality they're saying the exact same bullshit that people have been saying forever. They're saying nothing different than their dad said after he had a couple Heinekens and was drunkenly ranting about how this feminist cult can't keep going on. Women deserving rights? What the fuck is going on? But the only difference is that they try to make it seem novel. Listen, guys, am I even allowed to say this anymore? But I really like knocking back Heinekens, and I think feminism is a cult. Like, they're doing the same thing. They're using the same arguments. They're just acting like it's novel.
It's tough because I would say it's worse if you go to LA. Where I'm from, I'd say it's a little bit better, but I'm kind of from like country Chicago, so
I know.
Nice.
I love Chicago.
yeah. But the city's really liberal, but I'm not from there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I grew up with like chickens and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So did you as well, didn't you?
Wow, so you grew up around living creatures that were significantly smarter than you, and you still turned out this way? Yikes. Okay.
All right.
You used to have
okay,
chicken and
fine,
goats.
fine.
Yeah.
The fact is as well, you feel that women should not actually. We've talked about that. Why do you keep saying things we've talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Oh, haven't we done that? Oh no. Apparently, the producer Chuck is very keen on you, which is good and bad. Okay. And apparently, it's the woman's fault.
I'd steer clear of producer Chuck when the sun goes down, if you know what I mean.
a man cheats?
Oh, well, a lot of the times in 2024, yeah. Because what women do, this is what they do. They get married, and I interview men that have been divorced, okay? And so I hear all these horror stories, and I hear how common this is. They get married, they get the 2 kids they wanted, they stop sleeping with their husband. Well, okay, if you haven't slept with him in 2 years, what is a man supposed to do? I mean, and then you get mad. He screws a stripper. I mean, I can't say I didn't see that coming.
Well, you put it like that.
So
she's bang on.
if your other half did something,
Right. So when the man cheats, it's the fault of the woman. There is no nuance there. Okay. It's because she wouldn't sleep with him. What if it was like the woman chose not to sleep with the guy recently because she's been super busy and sleep deprived because of the new kids? It's been like 2 whole months, dude. Fuck it. I'm getting a stripper. Like, maybe you should have picked listen, maybe I'll blame the woman slightly because she shouldn't have picked such a scumbag guy. But seriously, this is just victim blaming at this point.
something like that, how would you react?
How would I react? Well, first I would ask, like, did I do anything to contribute to this? Because a lot of men cheat too because they have a nagging wife. You know, a lot of men cheat because...
But if a man says, did I do anything to contribute to the woman cheating, he's a beta simp. Okay.
You know, their wife is just a nuisance at home. But, you know, I'd rather he didn't. That's like my preference.
Do you like the 1950s style housewife at home preparing the cookies and the...
The cookies. Will you stop?
That's what they do in America.
They're Americanism.
They prepare
She's in
cookies.
England now.
Biscuits.
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the couple, you know.
A nagging wife. Yep, that's the reason, by the way, to go and cheat.
But I think couples or relationships work better where the men lead. That's what I think.
But
So
a man
whether-
used to be able to earn enough.
There's no evidence of this, by the way. There's actually evidence to the contrary. There's evidence suggesting that when men help out with the household chores, they have a lower chance of divorce. There's evidence suggesting that when men and women, both their or both partners' voices are equally heard and respected and taken into consideration, guess what? Those marriages last longer and have a way lower chance of divorce.
That's what I think.
But
So
a man
whether-
used to be able to earn enough to pay for a whole family. That's not the
Shouldn't we
same.
went
Yeah,
through this whole
yeah,
thing of
because-
saying men have been in charge for hundreds and hundreds of years? It's all for it's about time we had a rest. As I said before, I like a woman telling me what
Well,
to
Thatcher
do.
was a good
Well,
leader.
if,
You know.
I just like a woman telling me what to do. Okay, little man, hardly disguising your fetish. Please keep it down, my British comrade.
You know, maybe Thatcher was an exception.
How
but,
to use my knife and fork.
Golda Meir.
Lady W is watching.
you know, I
is
would
not-
say if overwhelmingly women were good at doing these positions, we would see more women as Fortune 500
But don't you
CEOs.
think because
That is
men
true.
actually control most of the companies, they always want to see a man in charge?
No, nowadays they get more money if they get a woman in
Yeah,
charge.
you just want the one who's the best at
And-
making them.
Why do they get more money, Pearl? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of really good data collection showing that when you have women in high executive positions, those companies make more than companies that don't have women in those companies. Why would companies with lots of women outperform companies that don't have as many women? I'm curious what your response to this is.
Most
and they
money.
can't get sued for harassment, so they're trying to get the women in there. We just can't do it.
Women can't be sued for harassment? Damn. So not only is Pearl the arbiter of what is and is not stupid, she's also now the arbiter of what is and is not legal. Whew. It should be illegal for somebody as retarded as Pearl to exist in this society. There you go.
They're like, please.
Well, there
take
are a lot
these
of good
jobs.
big executives, but yeah, in the main, it's not. But there are women who do as well as men.
Women don't even like women bosses.
No,
Yeah,
no,
women
that's true.
like vote that they prefer male bosses,
Yeah.
Well,
and men also vote that they prefer.
Okay. Do they vote that? I'm really curious. Let's look it up. Wow, wow, wow. This is why we always fact check every stupid thing that leaves this Neanderthal's mouth. Many say that the female boss is often a more effective manager. The Gallup poll surveyed close to 27 million employees worldwide. It concluded that female bosses often do better than their male counterparts because they are better at driving employee engagement. Thank you, Pearl, for literally blatantly lying through your teeth. Now, here's something about women maybe preferring male bosses, and maybe that's something, there's something there that we could look into. But no, generally speaking, your ludicrous claim that women bosses are just not preferred, yeah, sorry, you're just wrong. I love when you can do a simple Google search and the top thing that comes up is just says how they're wrong. It's hilarious.
There are quite a lot of women who get very upset and very aggressive. And they'll say things like, oh, the media, stuff full of men. You can only get a job in the media if you're a man. Well, I see a load of people who can't do the job, who are females. I shouldn't really go into this, but I do. And I think, surely that person cannot be the right one for the job. Ah, but she ticks a few boxes.
No, women have a way.
So because this guy thinks that some random woman is bad at the news job, what? That means she was just a diversity hire? Hey, hot take, okay? Not a hot take, actually, but seriously, it is sexist to assume that if there's a woman in a position of authority in a company or something, that she's just there because she's a woman and that she was a diversity hire. It's racist to assume that if a black person is the manager at your company, he's probably just there because he was a diversity hire. Yeah, that's actually racist. You're just assuming that they are there as a result of some initiative, some pass, some exception that allowed them to be there, not because of their true skill. This guy, for example, is seeing female newscasters, I guess, and he doesn't think they're that good. Why? Who knows? He seems like a very odd man, probably some strange, weird reason that nobody else ever would notice. But because of this, he then thinks they must then be hired because of a diversity initiative, because they check a few boxes, because they're a woman, because they're black. What he's saying essentially is that he views his own internal mechanism as the true objective basis. He compares this person's ability to be a newscaster to my ability. And if it doesn't check out according to my sensibilities, then therefore that person is wrong. So it's first narcissistic. Then in that narcissism is rooted sexism, because he thinks because I am therefore better because they aren't doing the same thing as me, or they aren't checking off the same thing as how I would have done it, that then means they must have then been hired only because they're a woman.
No, women have a way easier. I'm a woman in media. You have a way easier. I've managed male and female accounts.
Managing, I think women are better at, and being behind the glass mostly better at.
Yeah, I don't. But but I have managed.
Again, just because you're not better at managing stuff, Pearl, doesn't mean that people or women in general are bad at it. Like, Pearl tends to do this thing where she's like, well, you see, I'm a massive, stupid, dumb bitch. So therefore, all women are massive, stupid, dumb bitches. She tends to do the same narcissistic thing where she compares other people to herself, and if it doesn't quite add up or make sense, she just assumes that what she feels or thinks is by default the correct thing, so everything else is wrong. She thinks because she's stupid, everyone else must be.
Yeah, like guys have to build themselves up to like become.
What are women
in
better
media.
at than men?
Well, that doesn't go
Nothing.
for me.
Nothing. Just nothing. There are literally studies showing that women do make better managers because they're more in tune with people's feelings generally. They're better at multitasking. They're better at analyzing the market and determining what might sell better. They help people reach bigger demographics. There are all kinds of ways in which women are better managers than men at certain industries and whatnot.
Think of anything, because they would tell me nurturing. That's always what I would hear. And so then I started looking at stats. You know, if we're so nurturing, why do our kids turn out to be terrible? You know, they turn out to be school shooters, criminals when we raise kids by ourselves, or when dads raise.
So school shooters are a result of women? What?
Or when dads raise kids by themselves, the kids turn out fine, like almost the same.
What is this thing called?
We looked this up already, and there's literally not enough evidence. There's not enough data collection done on single fathers to determine the outcomes of kids raised by single fathers because it's such a small minority.
Body cans? Or
Body count.
body count?
What's that? That's one of your theories.
Oh, it's not my theory. That's just, no, I didn't come up with that. But that's just how many, you know, men a woman slept with. So
How many is it sort of, just so we know whether we're in the right ballpark or not, I mean, is there an average in a lifetime or not?
Well, you never know. Women always lie. You know, I've heard some people say it's around 40.
No, Pearl, you always lie. You're doing it again. You are not the spokesperson for all women. Okay? You always lie. Women do not always lie.
To 50, some say 20, some say 5 to 8.
Would you ask that woman in there, please, to stop shouting?
Women shouldn't have
I
a
don't
high body
care.
count, is what you're saying.
Well, the outcomes are
I
far
don't
worse
care.
when they do.
So the less, the better.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a virgin, they have an 80% chance of a happy marriage, where if they have slept with over 5 partners, it drops to a 20 to 25%.
But would you
chance.
even know? Would you actually know? Would you know?
Well, it's because they look
I'm
elsewhere.
pretty sure that was based on one study that's heavily disputed, but I would have to look that up more.
If they've had some others, whereas if they have one man, they go, "Oh, this is the best."
No, I would say women are like, in order to survive, women had to hide their like past. It like, you know.
Yeah.
Is there something, I don't know, it's an interesting point that you bring up. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, because if you're easily offended, I told you before, you shouldn't watch me or listen. Is it
Uh-oh, well, I am a soy boy. I think I'm about to get my panties in a wad. Let's go.
something to do with being penetrated or penetrating? Is that
It's to do with giving birth, because men can multiple women pregnant, but a woman can only take one man's sperm.
Sort of penetration is a sort of more. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it goes back to me.
Okay, I was kidding about getting my panties in a wad, but now I think my panties might actually literally be in a wad. I'm trying to watch an interview on UK TV. Next thing we know, you're talking about penetration? What? This is the last time I ever tune into the British talk.
Strategies.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
better. Mating strategies.
Yeah, because men like want to spread their seed, where women
That's what I
want
just said.
women want
There's
to get the
literally more evidence now, actually, to suggest that women are more biologically predisposed to being to having multiple partners. This right here, from the year 2000. Women are promiscuous naturally. Women, far from being naturally homogamous, are, like men, naturally promiscuous. Biologists believe that women are genetically programmed to have sex with several different men in order to increase the chances of healthy children with the greatest likelihood of survival. I'm sure there's newer evidence since that might dispute that, but even so, like, it just shows how unnuanced their approach is.
So that's the interesting thing, because women
Some
would
women
rather.
don't. Some women are as sexually driven as men.
Well, no. So what I'm saying is that women, when left to our own devices, would rather share the top guy.
Does it matter to a woman? I mean,
Like
we have
Dia.
a young guy out here who's never really had a sort of relationship with a woman. Is there some women looking around for a virgin or not?
No,
No.
no, women are
It's
not.
actually the opposite, isn't it?
Women prefer men with more experience.
Yeah.
They prefer men that are older.
But it's men. It seems to me it's men who get more upset if they think their woman has already been in position of sensuality, if you like, with another man, and they get really quite upset about it. Where women don't seem to.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but that's
If her sexual history was stuff that happened before they were together, then the man needs to stop being an insecure little man baby. That just sounds like men are more insecure then.
because what she
Because
said.
you know,
yeah.
men have to ensure paternity. There's like biological reasons why we feel the way we feel. They can't help the way they feel about it.
Yeah.
And even now, like paternity test centers, I think 1 out of 3, I don't want to butcher the stat, roughly
No.
it's either between 10 to 30% come back that it's not the father.
If your kid doesn't look like you, get a genetic
well,
test.
they should have it at birth. I don't know why they don't.
That's a good
You
point.
know, and
Good
I know
point.
people
Well-
that have been put on child support for kids that aren't theirs, and they never have to. The woman never has to pay it back, and sometimes they're put on child support for the rest of the kid's life.
Which is fraud, isn't it?
It's fraud.
Are there some women who don't mind that? A lot of men, there are quite a lot of men who think they can have sex, a woman can get pregnant, they can then go.
I think that's the exception. It's not the rule. I see when that happens, because I've interviewed 1,000 women, and what I found when women are in that position, it's because they were trying to make a man like be with them that didn't want to. So they kind of.
So what is the point then? Surely we
It's always the woman's fault. Listen to this shit. It's always the woman's fault. Oh my God.
men should be trying to be equal to women. Because quite
In what
frankly,
way?
well,
Why?
in loads of ways. I mean, we aren't. You have to.
But we're different,
You have to
equally different, as you
apologise
say.
for being a man in certain areas quite often now because
Well, you
of
shouldn't go in the
feminism.
changing
I have
room.
never once in my entire life of being a man had to apologize for being a man. Never once have I had to do this. This is just bullshit. They're just making shit up.
Like that.
Oh,
Of course
shut
you
up. I mean, it is. When you say now at the moment, women are in charge, I think. So maybe that's
They have
why
the advantage.
feminism, you don't think
No.
so?
Actually, they looked at, and I'm trying to, I wish I brought my phone because I would have read these stats. But when they look at the infrastructure, the power supply, what do we need to make society run? You need transportation, you need the internet, you need
Security.
Law and order.
all of those jobs. It's like 70 to 80% men.
Yeah.
So meaning if women's jobs went away tomorrow, society would be fine.
But if men went
lights-
away,
What? The jobs that women are doing are still highly important. And I'm sorry, no. Women are disproportionately nurses. What about all the sick people? You think if all women's jobs went away tomorrow, that the sick people relying on their nurse, you think they'd be okay? What are you talking about?
it'd fall apart.
It would fall apart.
It's always younger women that seem to be crosser about this than older women, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because older women just tend to be more delusional. They just,
But young women, they're just influenced, aren't they, by what they see online?
I think all women are.
How do they become delusional?
Well, because,
Well, they listen to you for one, Pearl.
What affects them?
I mean, men lie to us all the time. I mean, have you ever lied to a woman to spare her feelings?
Oh, well,
yeah,
that's not lying, is it? That's what my wife calls that embellishing.
Yeah, but reality slaps men in the face. It doesn't slap women in the face. Like, there's no body positivity for men.
How can we
That's true.
get rid of this thing called feminism?
Oh, you can't.
Why do you want to get rid of it? You haven't actually explained at all how it's bad. It's called feminism is bad for society. Woke women gets destroyed. Literally, where? Like, you've just been saying stuff.
Oh,
luck.
don't say that. I mean,
But things are changing around. Don't you think things are pivoting the younger generation, maybe? Or do you think it's going to get worse?
No, if I'm being honest, that's not me, but
No.
if I'm being honest, I don't see any indication that it's going the other way. Like, if you poll young women, Gen Z, on what they find important, they rank family last, and they rank things like traveling or things like
Experiences. and
yeah.
that sort of
So
thing,
you know, what is traditionalism? It's family first at its core.
listen.
Which you think for the women who are doing family first, you think those women shouldn't have the right to vote. You think more women should be at home with the kids, but by doing so, they lose the right to vote because they're not paying taxes? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
do you want to read that?
This woman is talking absolute rubbish. What an absolute test.
Yeah, well, I think that's fine. Do you
Is
get?
it a woman who said?
Probably.
Man, one true person. Oh, probably. So because it's a woman, what she said was invalid? What? Huh? What?
Yeah.
How old is she?
I don't know.
Do a lot of women they don't like it, do they?
What?
I mean, sometimes they're women's out. We fought so long to have equality, and then this woman comes on the
fight
TV
in?
and
What
radio.
did you fight in? A war? No.
Well, no.
How did you fight? You marched? Wow.
Distractions.
Yeah. Listen, you must come and visit us again when we've got over.
Okay. Wow. So this is obviously why Pearl is falling off massively. She's always been a stupid grifter, but she's just getting worse and worse.